think we should start our session.
Yes.
So hello, good evening, and a very happy new year to all of you. Probably this is our first workshop from Nurture Life Bangladesh on the year of 2022. Some of you know me quite well. So I'm Jayanta Dasgupta, working as the country coordinator of Nurture Life Bangladesh. So Nurture Life is a non-profit international organization, and it's aimed to create awareness for the mental health and give solution if anyone has some mental health issues around the community or around the globe. Though it's an Indian-based organization, we are currently working on different countries like Oman, Nepal, Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, I have to say, and also in United States. So before starting the session, I would like to request all of our participants to follow some instruction, like you have to mute your audio before while our speaker talk or show his presentation, and you can ask any question after the session. We have a question answer session after the program, and you can ask any question to him. So our topic is, we will talk about self-compassion. And when Reza told me to say something about, to say that what we can do for the next year, for the first workshop, and I was thinking that maybe we can talk something like empathy, or like something like compassionate behavior, because I was working on nonviolent communication for more than 3 or 4 months. So I was thinking about the topic over and over again. So I told Reza that, yes, this is the topic that we can discuss for our next workshop. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our today's speaker, Mr. Gurpreet Singh. He is a certified NLP practitioner, a life coach, and certified in counseling skills. He also has a certificate on REBT, and he practiced REBT. He is a spiritual speaker, and also he is a motivational speaker. So we are so much happy when we were thinking about the topic, somehow it's get connected. Like, yes, he is a spiritual speaker, so we can understand ourselves, how we can compassionate to ourselves. We can show compassion to ourselves as well to others. So if we can show empathy to others, first we have to know ourselves. We have to be compassionate ourselves. So thank you so much, Mr. Gurpreet Singh, to join in the workshop. So without any further ado, I would like to request to start the session. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Jayanto, for introducing me and taking this initiative for the students and for the masses to create awareness about self-compassion. Also, is the PPT displayed to all? Can everyone see the PPT being displayed? Is the PPT displayed?
Yes, Nishat, can you please display the PowerPoint presentation?
And a special request to all of the viewers, please kindly make your videos on, so that I also get an interactive experience talking to all of you. Okay, let's start the PPT. Okay, self-compassion. Okay. So let's first talk about, you have already heard of my introduction, so we won't repeat that. So what is self-compassion? Okay, as Jayanto said, that we usually are very good with other people. We want to care about other people. We want to think about how others feel. We want to talk about, are they hurt by something being said by us? But when it comes to ourselves, we punish ourselves day in and day out. Continuously we are thinking about what bad or what something great we did not do today, or where did I go wrong today, or what mistake did I committed today, or how could I be better today. Okay, self-improvement is a completely different thing. Self-improvement means you are aware of what are your shortcomings and you want to improve them. But lack of self compassion or self sabotage or hating your own self or criticizing your own self is a completely different thing, where it is like punishing yourself for something which was not in your hand, or where you made a small error. Okay, so what is self compassion? If you see the PPT, slide number 1, self compassion is an ongoing practice, okay, of relating to yourself kindly and fairly. It is especially helpful during times of stress and suffering. When you are in stress, after COVID-19, there is stress, there is suffering, someone lost their family member, someone lost their jobs, and at that time, suppose you start hating yourself. That time, it's like you fall down and you get hurt and you are bleeding, and you have some salt and you put salt on your wound. That is called self sabotage. And when you take a band-aid and you just cover up that wound and you want to heal that wound, that is called self compassion. So how does self compassion help you? It helps you in times of stress and suffering. It can make your suffering less. Okay, next, practicing self compassion increases well being and resilience to stress. Okay, I can overcome stress with ease. Second is, it also helps to overcome trauma. Okay, it also helps to healthier behaviors. What is healthy behavior? So I am stressed, I did something wrong, and I am punishing myself, I am criticizing myself. So what I will do, I could go in some addictions. Some people can go towards alcohol, drinking, smoking, some other things. So these are unhealthy behaviors. Other than your own personal issue, you are adding on more personal issues to your life by engaging in these behaviors. So self compassion can help you that, okay, if I love myself, I care for myself, I am kind towards myself, so let's do something good for myself. What is that good? Let's go and exercise. Okay, let's eat healthy food, let's go for a meditation class, let's attend a certain webinar on self development. So this is what you are doing, things to improve yourself. Okay, request to everyone to please on their videos also. Next, it improves our pro-social or supportive relationship behaviors. Okay, so if you want to get support from other people, if you want other people to support you, number one is that you have to start supporting yourself. It is like you are asking for love from other people, you are asking for acceptance from other people, and you lack it for yourself. Okay, I don't like myself, I don't love myself, but please give me love. I'm sorry to say, this could be very rude, that beggars are not choosers. Okay, when you put yourself in that position, that when you are asking for love, asking for validation, asking for acceptance from people, when you are not yourself giving it to you, okay, that is, okay, some issue. Okay, so that is self sabotage. Next slide. Again, why is self compassion important? Self compassion can bring great benefits for our mental health and well being, as being said by Joanto. Particularly, self compassion can activate your fight and flight response. What happens is that whenever you have a threat in your life, it could be a physical threat, you go into a jungle and you see a lion. What happens is that you suddenly get ideas. What should I do now? Should I fight the lion? Should I have something? Should I, can I have some weapon? Can I go? Can I climb the tree? Can I run? Can I run faster? You have all of these going in your mind. Any problem in your life, small problem, big problem, all the lions of 2021s and 22s are what? Failure in your exams, not getting through a certain relationship, having a relationship breakup, financial loss, business loss. These are your lions, and you fear these lions. You don't want to face these lions, and whenever you see that, your fight and flight response is activated. Usually people get in that panic mode and anxiety mode. Why? Because they don't know what to do, and they are more of problem focused and not solution focused. You highlight the problem, this is my problem, and you know 100 ways of defining your problem, but you don't have one way of chalking an action plan to overcome that problem. So that is why self compassion comes, which can help you find a solution to your problem. Okay, next slide. Again, why it is important? Self compassion is an opposite of self criticism. Okay, I think most of you might have this complaint that people criticize a lot, people judge a lot. Why are people so judgmental? Why do people don't mind their own business? Why do people have to tell me names? Why do people have to label me? Why do people have to bully you? That is because you do all of this with yourself. Again, introspect, ask yourself, do you not bully yourself? Do you not put yourself down? Do you not think ill about yourself? Do you not label yourself as being a failure? You are already doing all of these things. And if also we talk about spirituality, everything what you face in your real life is a reflection of your thoughts. It is a reflection. The world is a reflection of what is going on inside you. So if there is fear of failure going inside you, you will meet failure. If there is fear of rejection going inside you, you will face rejection. Next, if you use self-criticism as a deal, as a way of dealing with whatever we are going through, it will always activate your fight or flight response, as we spoke about. Okay. And if you are highly critical of whatever you are doing, okay, it will reduce your ability to be more compassionate. If you are not compassionate with yourself, you will also lose the ability to be compassionate with other people. Now ask yourself some questions. Let's check how much is your self acceptance. Okay, again, a request for everyone to on their videos, please. How strong is my self acceptance? Okay, number one, if saying something stupid in front of others shows that I am an idiot, if I believe this, okay, ask yourself this question. Do you feel that when others say that I am stupid, I believe it, I feel like I am an idiot, I believe whatever they say? Second, I am someone who needs my friends to like me in order to make me feel more important and worthwhile. So my value is decided by my friends. If my friends say I'm a good person, I feel I am a good person. If they say you look fabulous, I feel I look good. If they say something good about me, I believe them. And I feel that this is what defines me. Number three, when a colleague treats me unfairly in office, I think I must be useless. Or maybe the boss treats you unfairly. You think I am useless for the organization. Next, I feel I always must do well in important tasks and activities. Every time I must be perfect. I should aim perfectionism. I can never make mistakes. I can never do trial and error. I will do this thing perfectly or I will not do it at all. So many people, they are not even starting their goals. Why? Because they have this fear that I want to do it perfectly, and they are not prepared to do it perfectly, so they don't want to do it. So it has been years trying to follow a certain diet. It has been years trying to follow a particular exercise regime. It has been years trying to choose a career. It has been years to do something about the relationship. Why? Because they don't want to fail. There is fear of failure. When a friend ask others but not me to join him, someone calls you, or there is a group of friends and they ask someone else to join them at a party or a meet out, and they don't ask you, so you feel left out, you feel you are a loser. When I don't succeed at something in my work that is important to me, I'm likely to feel I'm a complete failure if this is the case. When I don't experience exciting times with others, I think I am dull. Okay, you feel like maybe you are giving a performance day in and day out. People are there, there is audience, you are performing, and you need to just get that applaud, you need to get those claps, and you are always hungry for all of these things. You want these claps to continue, you want people to appreciate you now and then, you want people to be laughing because of you, you want people to be happy because of you, but in an unrealistic way. You want this every now and then, you want this validation every now and then. I am someone who needs to perform well to feel important and worthwhile, if that is the case. Okay. These are some of the questions which you need to ask yourself to see where do you stand in terms of self-compassion. If all of these questions were answered in the positive, yes, then there is lack of self-compassion. Next, why is it hard to be self-compassionate? That is why we are having this webinar. It may be hard for a lot of people to be self-compassionate. It would be difficult for a lot of people to, why will I be compassionate with myself? Do I deserve compassion? Do I deserve good words? Do I deserve my own likes? I want likes from other people. When I'm on social media, I post my picture, I want people to like my picture, but I don't want to like my picture. I really appreciate those people who post a picture on Facebook and they are the first person to like their picture, because I think that comes from an internal, maybe there is no one else who likes their picture, but they went ahead and gave their validation to their own picture. And then there is another group of people who post their picture, wait for hours and days and see their notifications and see who has liked the picture, who has commented on the picture, constantly waiting for that approval from other people. But you have not given it to yourself. The question mark is that you did not approve your own picture. Maybe you did not like your own picture. Maybe you did not want to hit that like button on your own picture. Next, why is it hard to be self-compassionate? As we understood, again, repeating my request again, videos on, please. Okay. The threat system, the fight and flight response, okay, the fight and flight response, it will always be turned on again and again till the time you do not do anything perfect. Whenever you do anything wrong, immediately there will be a fight and flight response, and you will try to make over that issue, you will try to overcome that issue. And it is so difficult for us to be self-compassionate because of this early life experiences, our childhood. Today maybe we are 30, 35, 25, 20 years. All of these years are upbringing years when we saw our parents did not taught us to be self-compassionate. They usually told us, don't cry, crying is for babies, okay, men don't cry, you should be strong, okay, you should behave in a certain way. We were all told all of these things. Then whenever we did some mistake, we were reprimanded for that mistake, we were criticized for that mistake, we were not given a chance to rectify the mistake or maybe be kind to ourselves. So your upbringing and your childhood, your experiences, it creates your personality. So whatever we are now, there are some elements which have come from our childhood also. Whenever we think about self-compassion, you see an image of a person who's trying to hug himself, and we feel like, oh, okay, this is like, I think something which I cannot accept. How can I hug myself? How can I love myself? How can I give myself love? What is this concept? We don't connect with this concept well. We don't accept this concept well. And next is that self-compassion is none of these things, and everyone can benefit from little from self-compassion. So these were the reasons why it's very difficult for us to be self-compassionate. Next slide. Now some misconceptions about self-compassion, facts and misconceptions. One misconception is that self-compassion is a form of self-pity. Okay, we feel that whenever we are self-compassionate, we are putting ourselves down, we are thinking ourselves as a failure, we are thinking ourselves as a small person. But the reality is that self-compassionate people accept and understand that life will throw everyone curveballs, not just them. Okay, you're not pitying yourself, you're just agreeing that it is a bad day, it is not a bad life, it is a bad event, it is a failure event, it is a day of failure, it is a day of underperforming. It is not an entire life which is an underperforming life, it is not an entire life which is a failure, it is a small movement of my life, it is one day in those 365 days of the year. So they realize this and they help themselves. That is not self-pity, it is self-acceptance. When you accept yourself, you can be compassionate towards yourself. When you criticize yourself, you see, again, there will be some parts of you which will not be in accordance to your ideal self. There will be some parts of you which you may not like. There will be some bad habits inside you which you want to get rid of. But that are, all of those things are your part. They are not derived. That is your part. That is your identity. Okay, your good things, your mistakes, your good and bad, that comprises of you. Okay, so if it is that part, you need to be first accepting that part, that I accept as I am. I accept the good also, accept the bad also. No, okay, now what next? I accept the bad, and now let's do something to change it. Let's do something to improve it. Okay, next, self-compassion means weakness. Okay, now give you an example. Suppose I get hurt and I cry and I want to ask for attention. I want people to come to me, and they should come to me and they should help me with my wound. They should help me get medical treatment. Do you think, is this a sign of weakness, or buckling up and taking care of myself is a sign of weakness? Asking external help, is it a sign of weakness, or asking yourself to help yourself, is it a sign of weakness? So I think self-compassion means weakness is completely, it is out of context, because weakness could be shown or could be interpreted by other people when you show them that you are in a certain issue. Next, self-compassion, narcissistic behavior. Many people feel that having self-compassion means I am very self-centered, I'm just thinking about myself, I'm very selfish, I'm one of those people who wants to glorify themselves, who thinks too much of themselves. that is also a myth. Okay, it is having kindness about your own abilities. Now self-compassion is selfish, again myth, because okay, difference between selfish and self-care. Okay, if we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, okay, or even we talk about id, ego and super ego also, you know, when we see that we all are operating from an id front, we all are operating. Now if you have a job, you have surplus money, you'll think of going to an NGO. Suppose you have no job at all, you will in the first instance want to create a job for yourself. You will want to have your resources for your own life, and after that you will think of sharing with other people. Okay, human beings are selfish people, you know, they want to first survive for themselves, they want, and then they will give it to other people. So selfish is another word, self-care is another word. If you are there, then other people are associated with you. If you are there, then people whom you call relatives or friends, they will acknowledge you. So you being there is the first and foremost thing, and you being healthy physically and mentally is the first and foremost thing. So self compassion is not selfish, it is self care. Is there a type of self care which you need for your survival? Okay, now how to strengthen your self acceptance, or how to develop self compassion? Okay, steps. Okay, meanwhile, everyone can also write down questions related to whatever we have covered. And again, one more request, videos on, please. Okay. Keys for strengthening your self-acceptance. It is important to distinguish between being a failure and failing at a task. You are not your behavior. Okay. Now let's understand. Today you go for a job interview, you prepared well, you go there, you give the interview and you were not selected. Okay, now you come back thinking again and again that I messed up with the interview, I messed up with the opportunity, I lost this opportunity, maybe I will never get a job, maybe I am not fit for this job, maybe I'm not prepared for this job, I am a failure. Now what happened is that out of one of your attempts in your life, so many of your attempts, and when you applied for this company, you failed in a particular job interview, one relationship breakup, okay, one business failure, once lost something else once in your life, okay, on a certain day, on a certain event, on a certain time. How can you say that you are a failure? You are not a failure till the time there is breath inside you. You are, till the time you are surviving, you are alive, there is always a chance of another attempt till the time my life is there. So you coming to a conclusion that you are a failure means you have lived all your life, had all your experiences, tried whatever you could, and then you have this conclusion, okay, my life was a failure. That is on the last day of your life. And we all make this judgment almost every day that I am a failure. Okay, you cannot and never be a failure till the time. See, we can never say that India lost the match till the last ball is there. We can never say that someone loses the match in a cricket ground till the time the last ball is yet to be bowled. There is always a chance of winning to be there. Okay, so same with your life, till the time you are there, you are alive, you can always succeed. So it is an event of your life. Next, people's opinion. Okay, now the word opinion itself, okay, means point of view, from my eyesight. What I look from my eyesight, I am seeing from one building and the other person is seeing from another building, and what I see is completely different angle, the other person sees a completely different angle. Now people's opinion itself means their point of view. Okay, their point of view. People's opinion of you are not facts. They are not fact. If someone says you are totally useless piece of garbage, does that make it true? What is that? Their opinion. That is their opinion. That is their point of view. And that is their vision, which is giving them their perception. My vision, my perception, my understanding. Okay. Suppose I'll give you an example. Your mother, okay, maybe you are two siblings, and you and your brother or your sister, and your mother cooked biryani tonight, and she served you with biryani. and one of you tasted, maybe you tasted and said, Mom, you are the best chef in the
Oh,
world.
in here, yeah.
You are the best
Yeah.
chef in the world. The biryani is fabulous. You are the best chef. It's very tasty. And your brother or sister says, I think I did not like today the biryani. It was tasteless. And I think the salt was too much. I did not like the recipe. It could have been better. Now, these are two different people, and two siblings, and they are rating their mom's biryani. Now, does rating of you make your mom a better or a worse chef? That is the question. When you rate someone's dish, you eat that dish, you are rating that person based on your taste buds. Maybe I had a biryani for last 3 days and today you give me a biryani, the best biryani, I would say this is the worst biryani because I have had enough of biryani. Okay, so a lot of people, when they react to you, when they give you an input, it is from their state of mind, it is from their choice, it is from their perception, it is from their value system, it is from what they think about what they want, not about what you are. When people have faced rejection in relationships, they feel it is about them, it is about rejecting them, it is about uh, you could say defining them in some way. No, just tell me, if you reject someone, does that define the other person or does that define your choices? If you reject something in your life, you also reject so many things. You go to a shop and you reject a certain mobile and buy another mobile. You go to an online website, you choose to go to another website. Someone bumps you on the road and say, ma'am, sir, I like you so much, will you marry me? Will you say yes? No, you will reject if you want to reject. Okay, you have the choice to reject other people for sure. Do the other people have this choice? Absolutely yes, they have this choice. If you can reject other people can also reject you, but the rejection is not about you. The rejection is about their choice. If you reject other people, the rejection is not about them. The rejection is about your preferences. Okay, someone chooses not to attend this webinar. Is the rejection about Gurpreet Singh or their needs? If they want to attend the webinar, is it useful for them? Do they have time for the webinar? Does this topic interest them? So many questions to probe. You know, I can't just take my someone not attending my webinar as being okay, I was rejected by a student of Bangladesh. You know, I cannot take that as being absolute. Okay, so I have to question, I have to see what circumstances were played for that person not to attend the webinar. Only then I can come to a conclusion about what is the reality. And even if the person rejected the webinar because he doesn't like the way Gurpreet Singh speaks, even that is one opinion out of 50 people, out of 500 people, out of 1,000 people, out of the entire world of millions. So it doesn't matter. Okay, see that ratio. You have to always see the ratio of rejection. Who is rejecting you? What is the competency of that person? What is the authority of that person? Someone rejecting you. Okay, maybe Sachin Tendulkar goes to a dance reality show and judges the participant there and rejects one participant. Does that matter? Does Sachin Tendulkar has the caliber to judge someone on dance? No. Maybe if it is Saroj Khan, yes, I can accept. Why? Credibility. What is the credibility of the person rejecting you? This is a very big question. When you get rejected by every Tom, Dick and Harry around you, you have to ask this question: what is the credibility of that person to reject you? What is the authority of the person to reject you? Is he some psychologist? Even then he can't reject you. Is he on that some position? Even then he can't reject you. Does he know everything about your life? No, he can't reject you. So you have to ask, you have to question the credibility. Next, be aware of and value your positive characteristics, skills, and character strengths in all areas of life, including work and family. Self-acceptance comes from the fact that what your life really is. Okay, is your life completely a failure? Is your life completely a mess? Is your life completely an you could say a poor health thing? Is your life completely a poor finance thing? Is it completely that, or some part of it is that? You have to segregate, you have to be specific. Always be specific in your life. Whenever you have a problem, be specific about the problem also. Only then you can find a specific solution. Okay, someone went to a divorce lawyer and with his wife and said that I don't want to live with her anymore. Living with her is a nightmare. I want to divorce her. Okay, such dramatic words, it's a nightmare. Now the divorce said, be specific. What is the problem with your married life? And he said, she cooks terrible food. Okay. So this was the specific problem. What is she cooks terrible food? Now, if we say living with her is a nightmare, means what? Is she abusing the husband? Are there any fights which are violent? Is something which should not happen is happening in their married life? Is there something very severe happening? But we have to be specific. Even your life problems, when you are very general about your problems, very generalized problem, you will always see those problems as being very big. When you come to a specific problem, what is my specific problem? Then you will find a solution which is very specific to the problem. Next, again, more keys of strengthening your self-acceptance. Generate and practice using self-accepting self-talk when confronted by criticism. Now, there is an inner critic, inner negative critic, okay, which comes every now and then and tells you something about yourself, something bad things about yourself, how big failure you are, and how you could have been better, all of these things. Now, let's talk something about consciousness and unconsciousness. Simple words, conscious means awake and unconscious means I'm sleeping. The biggest form of unconsciousness is your sleep. You sleep at night, you don't know where you are sleeping. Maybe you're sleeping on your sofa, you are sleeping on the floor, and with whom you are sleeping, who are you, how much money in your bank account, what is your name. You don't know all of these details. You just sleep. You are unconscious. When you come to your conscious state, you are aware and awake. You are aware of what you really are. Suppose there is a student in the classroom not paying attention. He is daydreaming. There will be a teacher who throws a chalk at that person and takes the name. Hey, listen to me. And he comes to consciousness. Consciousness means awareness. And when this criticism comes from inside you, that is coming from your subconscious mind or an unconscious mind. So whenever we do certain things, or maybe someone who gets drunk and does something, he regrets it later on. Why? He says, I was not in my consciousness. Okay, I was not conscious. I forgot what I did. Now, whenever there is an inner self-talk or inner criticism, the best way to stop their inner critic is to loudly say and talk to your critic as if it was a person and say, stop it. Don't put me down. Who are you? Who are you to say I'm a failure? What is the proof that I'm a failure? Tell me times and days when I failed. Okay, you have to ask for proof, even from that inner voice. You can ask this proof even from people who tell you that you are a failure and they don't want to give you something to improve about yourself, but they just want to highlight your problem. Highlighting the problem is not the solution. You need to also find an action plan for that. So always talk to your inner critic. And what you have to say to yourself, I accept myself no matter what. No matter what, whatever I am, because you are living with yourself. You are living with other people. That is secondary. First is you are living with yourself. I prefer, second line, very important. I prefer. Yeah, I also prefer. What to like people to like me. Everyone will prefer that people should like me. They should have likes on my photos. They should call me. They should say good words about me. They should be loving, caring, affectionate, accepting of me. Everyone will like all of these things. But first is, I would add one more thing. I can't guarantee that. Why? Because it is someone else, a different brain. I am expecting something from a different brain, functioning on a different level. So first is, that is not guaranteed. Okay. It is not the right kind of investment. If you are expecting something from another person, it is not the right kind of investment. Second is, but I can live without that approval. I would prefer to people to like me. It's, yeah, I want, that is my human tendency, human need, that I want people to like me. I would appreciate if they like me, but if I did not get their approval, it's okay. It's okay. That is the thought process you need to have. Mistakes and setbacks are inevitable. We fear mistakes. We fear trial and error. Example, okay. The first aeroplane to be invented went through so many stages. First, it was a human being tied up to a big, you could say, a frame, like a kite or a flight, maybe like a bird, and he just tried to fly. He did not succeed. Then there was a certain wooden aircraft. Then there was a metal aircraft. Then there was a motorized aircraft. Then there was a helicopter style of aircraft. Different types of uh, inventions. It took different stages to reach to a level that now it can fly with 1,000 people. Okay. Now, if the person who started to invent an aircraft, or maybe Edison who tried to invent a bulb, said, okay, I failed, I think the bulb should not be invented, or I don't want to work on this, you would not get what you are doing right now. Even a simple wheel which was invented from a stone, then to an hexagon shape, then to a wooden, then to a bullock cart, then to your tire which you are using now, it went into stages. So whenever you do something in life, human beings are not programmed robots, that whatever you do will be devoid of any mistakes. Like we put any functionality in the PC, whatever we give in, we get out. So human beings are not like this. Human beings learn from trial and error. Just think of yourself as a kid. The most difficult phase of you in your life was as a kid, as a small baby, just born out of the mother's womb. Very difficult to have any meal, to eat any meal, tried to drink milk, tried to suckle the breast. Very difficult process, very difficult process. Again, after that, tried crawling. Then after that, tried walking, then falling again and again. So much difficult steps you already completed in your childhood. The most challenging things. And at that time, you did not have YouTube, you did not have guidance, you did not have any online medium to search what is the right way to do. You were doing according to your instinct. So as a child, you have already done the most difficult phases of your life. So even if now you think that here I will fail, I will not succeed, people will judge me, the main fear which you have is judgment from people, not even failure. Because as a child, if you see a child performing in front of other people, he does not care. If you clap for him, you frown at him, you laugh, you give a reaction, he does not care. He is engrossed in whatever he is doing. But what we are doing is that we are engrossed in making people happy, pleasing people, in taking their validation. We are not constantly working on ourselves, for our betterment, for our happiness, for our pleasure. No, all of the things which we do is for validation. That is why we are always fearing failure. Next, my performance at work, perfect or otherwise, does not define my worth as a person. Okay, it is my performance at work which can be tweaked, which can be learned. I can learn a new skill, I can learn a new course, I can get experience, I can upgrade myself. That does not define me. I accept who I am, even though I may not like some of my traits and behavior. Accept. I don't like who I am. Yeah, okay, I believe. But I accept myself that this is a part of me. If the good things are there to cherish, so I should also celebrate the bad things. I can always improve what is bad in me, but at least accept what is bad in me. Okay, one thing I want to share here about guilt. Guilt comes when you don't forgive yourself, when you have an inability to forgive yourself. Now, whenever you make a mistake, whenever you rethink your mistake, you make your mistake bigger in your head, and then you have that guilt. When you don't really forgive yourself, chances are that you will repeat the mistake. Chances are you will repeat the same mistake. There are many people who are repeating the same mistake over and over again, over years, only to know that this is because they have not really forgiven themselves. Why does this happen? It's like, I am a garbage bag. I say this again. So let's some more garbage, some more garbage, some more garbage. Let it come. Okay. Why? Because I do not think myself as being a clean slate again. I don't want to forgive myself. I think myself as a bundle of mistakes. So one or two more mistakes won't matter. So that is why I keep attracting mistakes, because I have not cleared myself of my past mistakes. So forgiveness is also a very important thing for self-acceptance. Make note of questions also meanwhile. Next, a small exercise. Okay, imagine that you have just received a basket full of fruits. Okay, and you reach out to the basket, you see many beautiful fruits there. You get hold of an apple, then an orange, then some grapes, and then bananas, and then you get hold of an apple which is rotten, then again a banana, okay, which is rotten, then maybe some grapes which are mushy. So what do? Do you rate the entire basket as being bad, or bad taste as being not good, but you have good and bad elements both similarly in your life. Okay, some elements are good, some elements are bad. One more concept here is that we usually compare ourselves a lot. One reason for us not accepting ourselves is that we do a lot of comparison. Now why comparison is bad, I want to put light on this. Suppose there is one apple and one orange, not right to compare. Okay, one is a pulpy fruit, one is a juicy fruit, one has vitamin C, one has vitamin A, one has some other use, one has some other use. Okay, now this is okay. Second, one apple and another apple, not even good to compare two apples. Why? They could be from different trees, from different areas, different upbringing, different kind of fertilizer, different levels of water, different levels of manure. Similarly, it is you. Okay, you had different upbringing, different cities, different places, different parents, different life experiences. You had different adversities in your life. You had different challenges, different health issues. Everything was different between you and the other person with whom you compare. How can you compare? You are on an individual journey, he or she is on an individual journey. Usually life is not a race. Okay, because in a race the destination is the same for everyone. Is your destination the same as your neighbor, as your friend, as your brother, as your sister? No, your destination is also different. The hurdles in your destination will also be different. They will never be the same. So that is why it is very wrong to compare yourself with anyone. Next, now self-compassion comes in three phases. How you can practice it? There are three elements of self-compassion. Number one is mindfulness, as I spoke to you about consciousness, being aware. Okay, first thing is awareness. Till the time you are not aware, till the time you don't acknowledge, you can never correct. You can never correct. Someone who smokes, okay, he knows that it's a bad habit, but he realizes that I'm smoking 10 cigarettes a day, I'm smoking from the last 5 years, and I need to give up smoking. So he can create a chalk out a plan to give up smoking. So mindfulness is the process of being aware, being accepting the situation and that current movements. Okay, what is it? Being aware of the physical, emotional, or mental pain. Any physical pain, pain in my foot, pain in my neck. Okay, so let's scan the pain. Let's see, let's take my finger to that pain and see, okay, this is the area where it's paining. Okay, emotional pain, okay, this is the heart area where it's paining. Some mental pain, okay, this is the migraine or headache which I'm having. Okay, take your attention towards that pain. Second is, when you take attention towards your pain, there is a technique in psychology which is called EFT, tapping. Okay, whenever you touch yourself also at particular areas, okay, you also activate your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, also it also boosts your neurotransmitters in your brain. It generates some neurotransmitters which are beneficial for your mental health. Okay, how to do it? Scan body for your pain. Okay, label the emotion in your heart. Okay, there is guilt inside my heart. How much is that guilt out of 1 to 10? Okay, let's rate that guilt. Or there is pain, emotional pain here. How much is that pain? Okay, I am tense, I feel painful, it's so heavy, I feel so heavy here. So first is acknowledgement of whatever you are going through, first step. Okay, second is, now I accept this is wrong with me, something wrong is happening with me. Second is self kindness. Why kindness? Suppose there is a person who is dying in front of you, there is a person who is suffering in front of you, who is hospitalized in front of you, who is in pain in front of you, who is crying, who is suffering from mental and physical pain in front of you, your friend of yours, a relative of yours, someone who has met with an accident on the road, and you see that person, you are so compassionate, you want to help that person. Why do you feel that helping yourself in a situation, in a problem, is not right, is self-pity, is being it's wrong on your part? Why do you feel this? Why? Because you never took yourself as your friend. You're finding friends among people, relatives among people, support system among other people, but remember that when no one is there with you, no one is there with you, no one is there to listen to you, no one is there to take care of your emotions, no one is there to give you validation and support. You are there with yourself, you are present with yourself 24/7. There is no other person available with you 24/7. Always, you are always available with yourself. and you are always available for support for yourself, but you are not recognizing the support, that how big of a support you can be to yourself. Okay, so kindness towards your own self, because when I am in danger, if there is no one else who will save me from danger, myself, I will save myself from danger. If there is fire around me, the fire brigade is not coming, people are not coming, there is no one, will I wait? Compassion, please bring compassion for me, please bring kindness for me, someone be kind to me, someone come and rescue me. No, my fight and flight mode will be activated and I will want to save myself. So you will always be there for yourself, but in what way, that is for you to decide. Do you want to be with yourself as a person who wants to punish yourself, or do you want to be yourself as a person who can boost yourself, motivate yourself, push yourself, uh, improve yourself? If you want to be, you have to choose in what way. Now self kindness, okay, self kindness and gratitude, all of these things also reduce your stress. It increases oxytocin in your brain, feel good hormones. How to do it? Take a few deep breaths, adjust the body, go to a comfortable place, stretch your body. Okay, then you can warm your palms, you could take a warm, maybe a hot compress of a towel, you can place it on the place where it hurts, emotional pain or physical pain. You can use these affirmations that I am doing my best right now, I am trying hard right now, I don't know what is the answer, I don't know what is the result, I don't know what will be the outcome, but I am trying my best. Have some cup of tea, have a good meal, whatever you like, ask for help, there are counselors, psychologists available. And third level or third phase of self compassion will be common humanity, because usually when something bad happens with you, you will always go to that level of thinking that it is just me who is having this shitty life, it's just me who is suffering so much. Okay, this will always be an internal feeling. So common humanity means remember that many like you, hundreds like you, thousands like you, lakhs like you are feeling the same things. Human beings are same, human beings are the same, they want the same needs, love, care, affection, validation, appreciation. They get superbly emotional when they don't get some of these needs. They react in a certain way, all of them show anger, all of them have resentment, all of them have emotion, sadness, grief, guilt. So similar, all human beings are similar. So what you are going through is a part of human life, it's a part and parcel of human life. So that can bring a certain level of peace inside you. Okay, I'm not alone. Okay, so life cannot always be perfect. Life did not come with a manual with you. Life did not come with promises with you that you will have a certain life, people will be kind with you, people will always love you, care for you, be affectionate about you, your boss will always be a good boss, you will always get job increments, you will never lose your job. All of these promises were never made to you when you were born, none of these. So why are there shoulds in my life, that this should happen, this person should behave in a certain way, this should not happen with me? So you have to get rid of the shoulds. Why? Because these shoulds are bringing disappointment to you. You are already planning a certain outcome of your life, that this should happen and it doesn't happen. What happens is that disappointment. Okay, next we are coming towards the end and then we are having questions. First, think about the times when a close friend really feels bad about him or herself, or is really struggling in some way, as we discussed. Okay, how would you respond to your friend in such a situation? Okay, please write down what you typically do, what would you say, and note the tone in which you typically talk to your friends. When your friends are in problem, you talk to them softly, with patience, you listen to them. So many things you do for other people. Why this is not happening for your own self? Now think of times you feel bad about yourself or you are struggling. How do you typically respond to yourself? How do you hate yourself? Do you criticize yourself? Do you label yourself? Do you say bad things to yourself? Write down what you typically do and see why is there such a big difference. Why is there such a big difference? Why? I would say, if I talk about spirituality, there is a void which you want to fill, but you think that void will be filled from outside. That void will be filled from other people, from your parents or from your siblings, your boss, your employee, your subordinates, your friends. but this void is going to be filled from inside. That is where a practice of meditation or self-reflection or sitting in silence, it comes into practice, that fill that void from inside, because that void was created from inside, but you try to fill it from outside. So when you want to fill that void from outside, you will always seek approval from outside. You will always want that stamp on you from other people that you are good enough. But when it comes to yourself, being kind to yourself, you will think my kindness does not matter. It is their kindness, because I am nothing for me. I am no one for me. I have no recognition for myself. So this is where it needs to change. Did you notice a difference? If so, ask yourself why. What factors or fears come to your mind that lead you to treat yourself and others so differently? There are some fears which we have, of fear of losing people, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection. So again, these are part of the void, because we think that if we are not people pleasers, if we don't give too much to other people, they might not be in our life anymore, or they might abandon us, or we might be alone. So there are fears about loneliness or being alone. Again, that is that void which is there inside you. Please write down how you think things might change if you responded to yourself in the same way typically respond to a close friend when you are suffering. So ultimately, you are suffering, you are in pain, you are in agony, but you want someone else to come to your rescue without you seeing your issue as being yourself. Just think about it. It's like it's your property. Your issue is your property, and you want someone else to care about your property. You don't want to give that acknowledgement that I have to first care. I have to first accept what is wrong with me, what could be done in a corrective measure for it. But you want other people to do it for you. Okay. So any questions, please ask. Any questions, please ask. And please, whenever you ask your question, videos on.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful, mesmerizing, sublime presentation. When you were talking about the misconception about self-compassion, yes, we learn something new every day, and today I've learned the things in a new way. You know, when you talked about the misconception, yes, I didn't think those thoughts, but you created a consciousness in my memory, in my brain. So thank you so much. So I would request to all of our participants to ask question to our speaker, or you guys can write your question in the chat box.
Yeah, you can also write in the chat box, please.
Yes, and beside that, I'm requesting all of you to fill up our forms that are actually given in the chat box. So thank you so much. Please, if any question you want to ask to our facilitator, please ask.
Hello, sir. I'm Wahida from Bangladesh.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you very much. Sir, I have a question. In fact, I have two questions. Number one, you say selfish and self-care. I can understand the self-care, but is there any definition about selfish? What does it mean, or how can we say someone selfish? Though we are listening always selfishness.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Okay, now the biggest sign of selfish will always be that when you do something good about yourself, for yourself, in that process you are damaging or creating damage for the other person. I would say that this is being selfish. So doing good about yourselves, now there is also always an opposite of everything. Okay, for an example, that there is a friend of you who calls you up and says that let's go for a movie, and you say no, I want to study right now, and I have too much to study, I have my commitments, I can't come, and he's hurt because of your words. Now this is not selfish. Why? Because you are doing it out of self-care, out of your own priorities, out of your goals. You are creating a boundary. Creating a boundary will never be termed as being selfish. It is, you are protecting yourself. You want to achieve something in your life, and you have to sacrifice things. You know, you have to study now, you could go for a movie later on, but it is hurting him, and he will say my friend is so selfish. So this is, now you have to get rid of that thing whenever you are doing good about yourself, which is, and if he was really your friend and you would have given him a reason that, okay, see, right now I want to study, I have my commitment, and maybe we'll go on a later date, and he agreed, so yes, then it is a healthy conversation. And if he still thinks that you are selfish, then let it be. Second question, if I
Thank
answered
you.
this one.
Thank you, sir. I understand. Second question is, uh, it's actually for children. How can we say or explain about compassionate towards children? Because some children, some of my nephew asked me, I told her to be compassionate, to be with yourself, it's okay. But she's too naughty. And whenever she works something, and so told she told her mother, it's okay, mom. Auntie said it's okay. So she is doing the same thing again and again, and she thinks she is doing the right thing. So I think he got the wrong message. How can we manage?
Right. It is like a case of some self-compassion got wrong, you know, gone wrong.
Exactly.
Okay. So, okay, we can see one more thing is that always there has to be set boundaries for each and everything, you know, whenever we educate also children, okay, it has to be in bits and pieces, and there has to be some do's and don'ts regarding it. Okay, so suppose she has got this wrong message that whatever I do should be accepted, whatever I do is okay, whatever I do will be forgiven. Okay, it will come only when there are certain rules and regulations set in that, you could say, an home or family, related to, if someone does this, this will happen. Okay, consequences, you have to show her consequences in some way. Now that consequences not necessarily mean physical punishment, and it should not be physical punishment, but it should be taking away maybe some rewards from her, or maybe delaying some reward. Maybe you are taking her for a dinner tonight or a movie, you will say that, okay, you did this mistake, maybe we'll go the next week. Or maybe you were to right now use your mobile for a certain time, so for one day don't use your mobile. Okay, so with certain changes in the rules and regulations and consequences, when it happens and again, then her mind will register this, that now the rules and the dynamics have changed. Now that self compassion, do anything and get away with it, it does not function anymore. Now there are certain rules which needs to be followed, and there are consequences. But one problem with parents is that, who are too much self compassionate, is that they don't really keep their words. When they say to their children that I will take away this thing, or I will give you this thing, or they don't keep their promises, they delay their promises, they become lenient, they become emotional. So because of that, the children start taking them lightly. So it has to be with conviction. When a parent says something, he has to do, only then the behavior can change.
Thank you, sir. Okay. We have learned so many things and so many new things, indeed. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, there is one question from him coming from Rathi. Rathi from
Yes, sir.
Bangladesh. My question might not be directly related. I want to know if self-sabotage is related to lack of self-compassion. If yes, how to work on it? Okay. See, self-sabotage, yes, it is connected to lack of self-compassion and self-acceptance, and it is also coming, mostly could be coming from a major event of your life, namely rejection, and that rejection could be from parents, or absent parents, or parenting gone wrong in some way, or maybe you not being given enough time, care, affection, love, or maybe they are working parents, their intention may be not wrong, could be. Okay, if it is not from here, you can also cross question me. So it could be from there, from your childhood, where there is and you could say incomplete incomplete inner child, who wants to complete. And if you want to complete yourself, you will look for avenues outside. Some people want to be a member of a certain group, some people want to try some habits, some people want other people in their life. So this could be linked with your childhood. So I don't know about your life. If it is not linked with your childhood also, or if there is other event also, you could also ask another question on this. More questions, please. I'm okay with going above the time limit also, as long as you ask questions.
One of our friend has asked to give the access to your PowerPoint presentations.
It is already with you. You could share with them.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Any more questions, please? In the chat box also is okay. So we'll
Yes,
keep
guys.
a
If you have any more,
we'll keep a
yes,
buffer
please,
of
sir.
more
Carry
10
on.
minutes or maybe 7 to 10 minutes. Okay. Any questions within that buffer, you can please send, and then we could then wind up.
Sure. We can take one or two more questions for the next couple of minutes. So please, all of our participants are requested to ask any question to our facilitator.
Sir, you have told EFT. It's a new term for me. So do you please explain the meaning EFT?
EFT means emotional freedom technique. It is a combination of, you could say, a kind of affirmations and tapping on your hand in different areas of your body, which also has reflexology or acupressure points. If you go and look for videos online, you would get many videos on EFT. Even if you get hold of a psychologist who is an EFT practitioner, she or he might be able to guide you more. It helps you calm down your current anxiety or your current feeling or whatever you're feeling momentarily. It helps you bring it to a more manageable level. Any more questions, please? Tanusri, Munira, and Ashikir, Rakib, Marina, Nishat, Romana, Shirina, Sithi, Saida, Delara. Very difficult names.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please, Mehreen.
Yeah, this is Mehreen from Bangladesh. So
Yes.
I would like to, yes, thank you for your wonderful presentation. I was able to listen half of the time because I was in another meeting. Sorry for that. So my question was, sometimes many of us cannot receive appreciation, and they feel very uncomfortable, like someone is praising that you look very pretty, your hair is very good, and he or she feels very awkward, and it's like I cannot accept the beautiful things or good feeling about me. I feel very awkward, and I don't like to receive appreciation. Is it about not connecting to my inner child's happiness? And if this happens continuously, how to sort this?
Right, right. So let's take an example of a product being manufactured by a machinery or by an organization, by a factory. Okay, and suppose when that product is manufactured and the person who manufactured the product, the person rejects the product. Okay, now this is a setback for that product because the manufacturer itself is rejecting the product. Similar things happen with respect to the inner child when we did not get appreciation or whatever parenting we desired or we should have gotten in our childhood, and when we grow up and then there are people who truly also appreciate us, and we think that maybe they are not truly appreciating us, there is some hidden motive. Okay, and when they appreciate us, we compare it with our manufacturer. What is that? Our parents. And we see all of these things were missing there. Okay, the source from where I came, they did not give me this, and when it's coming from an external person, it is not of that value. There is always a comparison. So when it comes from your house, your home, when it is coming from outside, you believe it because it has already been conveyed to you as a child. As a child, already being conveyed to you that you are beautiful, you can be a performer, you can achieve something, already being conveyed, not something different, not some new knowledge you are getting from outside. When you get it from outside, it becomes difficult for your mind to accept that fact that is it really true. So it is, yes, in fact I think it is connected towards to the inner child to a lot of extent. And I think going for an healing therapy, specifically hypnotherapy with a therapist, can help you connect with your inner child and give that love, care, affection. Go to your subconscious mind, maybe change those thoughts or those events which happened in your childhood, or at least reduce the intensity which you felt at that time, and have more acceptance of yourself. So that is possible.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, sir. I'm Sithi from Bangladesh. Sir, I have a question. Sir, it's actually very easy to motivate somebody, but I feel hard to feel motivated. Yes, it is very hard to motivate myself to do something so that I can do what I can do to keep myself motivated. Okay, Sithi, very easy to guide you is that two types of motivation you have to keep in your mind. One is intrinsic motivation, second is extrinsic motivation. Okay, extrinsic motivation usually is fueled by two things, that is reward or fear. Okay, example, you are going to office every day. Why? I want to become employee of the year. So that is reward. You are motivated because of reward. Second is you are going to office on time every day because I don't want to get rid of this job. Okay, I don't want my employer to remove me from this job. That is fear. Okay, so you are operating out of two things. One is fear, second is pleasure. Most of the time, whenever in normal life we do anything, okay, do a particular thing, maybe pursue a certain career or study a certain course, it is about what will come at the end of that thing, that is the degree, what will come at the end of the business venture, what will come at the end of a certain relationship, what will come at the end. We are waiting, anticipating continuously. Okay, sometimes that anticipation gets very long and we don't have that patience, and then we give up in the middle. It's like, I want to lose weight, I started running today, 1 week there is no weight loss, no result, and I'm like, okay, I think I can't lose weight, let's stop it. Okay, this is extrinsic motivation outside. Extrinsic motivation will be always in a graph form, up and down, up and down. Sometimes you'll get motivated, sometimes not motivated. Now second motivation which can help you be always motivated, it's called intrinsic motivation. And what are the features of intrinsic motivation is that loving what you are doing, enjoying the process, learning new things, curiosity, and you are loving and you are practicing your passion. So when your motivation is coming from these factors, from internal factors, it's like A.R. Rahman being, you call A.R. Rahman at 2 a.m. and like tell him to create music piece, he'll say, I am ready to do it. Okay, because it is intrinsic motivation. Okay, that is what he loves to do. So whenever, if you want to get motivated, try finding something or selecting something which is coming from your inside, you would love to do. And if you want to motivate yourself to do something which is not coming from inside, it will always be a conflict. Maybe sometimes you are in the wrong career or wrong course, or doing something which you don't want to do, or taking a decision which you don't want to make. So always you will have this fight, continuously trial and error and fight inside you, that how should I keep myself motivated? So best way is always have an intrinsic motivation, loving the process. If you love the process, you are not concerned about what will come. You are not fearful about what will come. You are not expecting a reward, or you are not fearful of something bad to happen. So loving the process is the best way to get motivated always.
Thank you so much, sir. And I believe I'm afraid that we are out of time. But
Okay. Yes,
we have
sure.
a message that has been sent from Jannatul Firdaus, and she wrote that I was a confident girl from childhood. I always thought I'm pretty beautiful, and I have the ability to do anything that I want to do. But some recent event in my life made me feel like I'm not pretty enough for anyone, and I don't deserve love, and anything that is best for me. And it created an insecurity that I started seeking confrontation from others unconsciously. If I'm good enough on something, how to get over from this insecurity and be confident?
Right. See, the event which you mentioned, I assume, I don't know about your life, but assumption is that someone with whom you were in a relationship could have been manipulative, could have been faking promises, could have been saying rude words to you, could also be a narcissistic in nature, or could have these traits where he was using you as a doormat or not giving you enough respect. Could be. Okay, if it is something like this, then it is a form of abuse which you suffered. It is also a traumatic event for you. It is difficult for you to process, and there is a residue of that which is still there. So why you get again and again with in relationship again and again, or finding comfort outside, that you want to heal it subconsciously, you want to heal it, you want to seek validation, you want to delete that insult, you want to cover up that insult with some good words. Okay, but ultimately that insult was never done. If I want to convey, and as we did today in people saying something to you about you is their perception, so that insult was never done, or that rejection was never done, or that arrogance was never done to you, that injustice was never done to you. It is their perception, what they did, what they said, how they behaved with you. It is about them. It says or defines them, it does not define you. So first of all, you also have to not think of that event as something bad was done towards you, or maybe you were defined in a certain way, or you were labeled in a certain way. Even if you were labeled, you don't have to accept the definition. So once you don't accept the definition, the wound starts to disappear. Okay, so if you try to create the wound, if you think of the wound and you think of the hurt the person gave you, you will want to repair the hurt. So I feel that you have to start thinking that nothing happened, and that person, whatever he said or did, is defining the person, not you. You don't have to take it very, very seriously that whatever he said was absolute. Yes, because when you are in love, in a relationship, whatever the other person says, it matters a lot. But again, you gave him this power, and not to control your life, or give you certain names, or maybe define you in a certain way. So I think you have to take that power back and invest in yourself. Get rid of all distractions right now, invest in yourself. Maybe join a health club, fitness gym, whatever, boost your confidence, eat healthy meals, improve yourself in your career, learn new skills, reinvent yourself. When you do all of these things, you can attract the right person, and you don't have to change because of them. I feel so.
Okay, one last question.
Yes.
We're taking one last question for today's session. How can I improve someone else to be compassionate with herself? Okay.
How can I motivate someone else to be
Sorry, how can I
compassionate with
motivate
herself? One of my friends
herself?
thinks that she is not good enough to get appreciation. Yes.
Appreciation,
Okay.
right.
Now, see, helping the other person, when the other person does not think that he or she wants help, or needs help, first of all, you have to create a need for that help. Okay, immediately if you go towards helping the other person, everything what you say will not be accepted, because she has certain cognitive distortions, or a perception is in a certain way. You need to challenge those, but you need to first do reflective listening. What you can do best for your friend is that tell her to narrate everything to you, tell her to be as specific as she can, as expressive as she can, and just listen to her. When you listen to her, the first message you give to your friend is that, yeah, you are capable enough to get appreciation, because someone is listening to you with such eagerness, such curiosity. The immediate message which you are giving to the person is instant. And then I think this could be a phase where then you can start motivating her and tell her that, why do you think you are not enough to get appreciation? Why do you feel that you don't deserve love? Why do you think? Ask her probing questions. When you ask her probing questions, maybe she might have that brainstorming session and could reply something which could be an insight for you, and then you can take ahead from there. That is what you can do.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time, and thank you all for your wonderful questions. So
thank you all.
Yes, and I would like to request, right now I'm requesting our head of Nurture Life Bangladesh, Mr. Reza Bapti, to talk something about our workshop. Over to you, Reza.
Gupta, the way Mr. Gurpreet Singh has told us about the self-compassion, it's really mesmerizing and amazing. and just look at the expressions of our participants. They are amused with the presentation of Mr. Gurpreet Singh, and obviously we have learned a lot about self-compassion, and we are hoping that in our upcoming Mr. Gurpreet Singh will be also available for us. And I also want to thank Farah Sharosh ma'am, Mr. Ashikur Rahman, Nishat Salsabil, as well Habibul Islam for organizing the workshop so nicely. And we have a guest from USA, my friend Matt Falstein, CEO of EQ for Peace USA. Matt, are you there? Hello, Matt. Right now, EQ for Peace USA and Natural Life is working together. Both of our organizations are working together to spread emotional intelligence as well as mental health. Can you check is there or not? Matt has written a message. Yes, recording will be available, and we will upload the recording in our YouTube channel. It seems that Matt is not right now. As Matt is not here, we have to conclude the session. And thank you everyone for being with us alive. And Happy New Year to all. And we are ending our session. Thank you. Take care. Recording will be provided in our YouTube channel. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you all. Take care. Goodbye and good night.
Thank you everyone for joining this session, and I am delighted and so much grateful to Mr. Gurpreet Singh for taking this kind of wonderful presentation and wonderful workshop for the participants. Thank you so much, sir. We are so much honored to have you with us.
Most welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. So that's all from our today's workshop. Good night, everyone, and a very happy new year to all of you.
Good night.